Hello and welcome to a new episode of GirlExec, Moments of Grace. We are
Mhm.
so glad you've joined us. I'm Christy and I'm here with my friend Aisha. And today we wanted to talk about the critical need for us to give ourselves grace as women. In researching the topic, we found a wonderful article that touched on so much we also wanted to share, called Five Ways to Give Yourself Grace by Rebecca Wertz from the website iridescentwomen.com. The points mentioned in this article are so powerful and relevant that we want to share them with you, along with our own personal experiences and perspectives on what Rebecca shares.
The first tip to give yourself grace is to evaluate your expectations. Rebecca says that sometimes stress, frustration, and disappointment are self imposed due to unrealistic expectations that we set for ourselves. And I agree that as women, we often have this standard of, I have to be perfect at this, or I have to dot every I and cross every T. Standards that not only are unrealistic on a daily basis, but are things that we only expect from ourselves. No one else is expecting this from us. So, some useful questions to ask yourselves when you find yourself trying and failing to live up to everything you think you should do or think you should be are: who created this standard?
Mhm.
Is this the standard that you would place on someone else, on a girlfriend, on someone who you love? Is the standard healthy, or does it actually start to feel like a weight, either physically or emotionally? Take a moment to evaluate these things, to give yourself perspective and realism. And it's a great way to pause to give yourself grace.
Connected to that is her second point around building healthy boundaries. Once you've evaluated your expectations, take the time to establish your boundaries with yourself, your job, and those around you. This includes things like setting a limit on the time you're going to work. Be okay with sharing your needs with others and learning to say no to yourself sometimes or others to avoid personal burnout. Setting boundaries can be tough, but think of it as letting people know that you understand and respect yourself enough not to sacrifice your health and sanity for the approval of or goals of others. And, Aisha, I think just from our talking, this past year of decisions we've made as a family was about me resetting. And part of that was setting the boundaries from a work, a home, what we do in the community. And it was hard, even in the beginning. I committed to too much. And then I had to step back and I set a boundary with the time I committed to volunteering and the time I needed with our family and the time I was working. And I'll tell you, in setting those boundaries, it honestly was hard. Like I felt myself go through a feeling bad or guilty when I
Mhm.
set the boundaries because I wasn't doing everything I could. But if I did everything that I was possible, I would have been right back to burnout. And
Right.
it's still hard not to overcommit because I'm just, I want to go, go, go and do, do, do. And
Right.
then it's like, but for what? Especially when it begins to affect your health. So it's setting boundaries is a very good thing. Very, very, it's good for your mental health. It's good for your emotional health. It's good for the relationships that you are in, because if you're not crazy, you're not, snapping and, having overreacting to things.
Absolutely. We want to give. I think that we have a nature to want to give, but we have to remember to give to ourselves. I absolutely understand you. I feel your struggle. The next piece about giving yourself grace is embracing the beauty of evolving. Rebecca shares a sentiment that I think I know, at least I feel at times. That sense that we're standing still or we're even holding ourselves back because of the fear of the unknown, our failure, our change. The truth is, we're always moving and growing in some direction, but it takes time. And so, if we can be more patient and forgiving of ourselves, if we can take care of ourselves, as you mentioned, on the outside and the inside, then it's more fertile ground for us to grow as fast as we want or in the ways that we want. And for me, the key to see this growth is the change of perspective. Instead of looking around to see what everybody else is or what everybody else is doing, sometimes take a look back. Think about the woman who you were 2, 3 years ago. Think
Yeah.
about how you used to react to things. Think about how you used to manage things in your life. You're sure to see growth. So instead of looking around, sometimes look at your own path, and that gives you that reminder of what you have done and absolutely what you can do. It's another very strong way of showing yourself grace.
The fourth item or point is really around how you use mistakes as learning opportunities. Listen, let's be honest. No one likes to make mistakes. They
Nope.
trigger fear, what other people might think of us, and our opportunities for the future. But it does take mental strength and intention to remind ourselves that making a mistake is not the end of the world. How can we learn if we do not give ourselves even a small space to learn from our experiences? And I always say, if you're not making mistakes, you're actually not growing.
I've heard that. It's very true.
Yeah. But on the other hand, we don't want to seek out mistakes. But when they happen, we must give ourselves the grace to accept that not everything is perfect, including ourselves. So when you make a mistake, try not to be so hard on yourself. And remember that mistakes are not red markers. Most people forget quickly. Don't be the one to hold on to it the longest.
Chris, you know that I used to manage a business for people, for products for people who want to stop smoking.
Mhm.
And we used to always say that every time you slip up and have that cigarette, instead of looking at it as a failure, look at it as a learning opportunity. You know what triggers you. You know where to stay away from. You know what not to do at what time. And I think that's the same thing with mistakes. We don't like them, but at least you can learn from it so that you don't keep repeating them.
Mhm.
The last piece Rebecca encourages us to do is to have more self-compassion, which basically means to be kinder to ourselves, more patient, and especially in this self-talk that runs rampant in our heads. As we've discussed before, the words that we say to ourselves matter. They can build us up or they can tear us down and can literally sap our energy if we're constantly criticizing ourselves or overthinking things. So I think in that moment, when you catch yourself being especially hard on yourself, ask yourself the question, is this how I would treat my girlfriend? Is this how I would treat someone who I love? And if the answer is no, it's a sure sign that we need to pause and rethink our self-talk and think about the grace that we're offering ourselves.
You know, Aisha, in the end, grace is a choice and a gift that we give ourselves. We do not have to be perfect to be amazing.
Say it again.
We do not have to be perfect to be amazing. I hope you all that are listening to this hear that and sit with that. If we live as real, true life people, we will have ups and we will have downs. Through it all, we encourage you to give yourself the grace that you deserve as you continue to grow to be the amazing woman that you're meant to be. And we ask you, as always, please continue to listen to and subscribe to GirlExec and share it with others for conversations to enrich your career and life.